Hi, Chris Bingham here. Um, this report is for my photography diversity class, and there was a day that I was actually ill, and we went and visited the Salt Lake Tribune, but I wasn't able to make it that day, so this is my makeup assignment, and what I'm going to be doing is talking about systematic racism. And this is going to be based off of an experiment by Jane Elliott called the Brown Eyed Blue Eyed Experiment. And in this experiment, Jane Elliott, she brings in a group of volunteers and separates them and segregates them by their eye color. Now, what she's doing is attempting to create or to simulate a a uh, a place where she can express discrimination. She can create discrimination. She can create a divide. I mean, the concept is to treat people with blue eyes the way that minorities are treated in America. And honestly, there is just so much to talk about this experiment. It was so fascinating that I won't be able to talk about everything I want to talk about in 5 to 10 minutes. But I did take a bunch of notes, and I have a bunch of quotes that I thought were fascinating. And the main point of it was to make the people with blue eyes feel worthless. And there were many people who she described one man who came out, she saw after years after the experiment. He saw her somewhere on the streets and said, I remember you, I don't like you, and she talked with him and said, I only had you for 45 minutes. She said, you were with me. If I can make you feel worthless in 45 minutes, imagine how a black man feels after 30 years of oppression. I thought that was interesting little quote. A lot of the information I have are quotes directly from her that I thought were interesting. And one of the interesting things to me that I observed was the expression of white privilege, because a lot of the blue-eyed people couldn't really grasp the concept of why they were being discriminated against, and they felt so uncomfortable and privileged and entitled to their respect that they, almost the mentality of the typical lady, the let me speak to your manager type of lady, if that makes sense. But one of the interesting things that I thought uh, Jane said was that white behavior, or white people aren't to blame for racism. It's white behavior, because it's a concept, it's a thing to be able to be taught to act white or taught to act black or talk black. It's all based on society's construct of what they think of us. So I thought that was interesting. It's not racism. It's not because of white people. It's because of the way white people have been taught to act and think and do. Um, she says, we live in a racist society that only teaches about white contributions. And another little quote, if I can find it real quick. Here, she says, if you are a white person born in America and you're not prejudiced, you would be a miracle, because essentially we're put into a system where we're taught to divide each other and to discriminate against each other and to find differences in each other and who's the best, who's right, and who's wrong, when really we all could just sit here and get along together, but it's not. That's not the case. So along with that quote, she says, if you're a white person in America and you're not prejudiced, you would be a miracle. This would mean that all the school systems have failed. The school system in this country are about the school systems in this country are about maintaining the status quo. In this country, that status quo is white supremacy. Um, this is one of the things we teach in the school system, and we teach it in lots of ways. And that is a quote from her, and I thought that was absolutely fascinating, because a lot of the stuff we are taught in school is a bunch of bull. I recently saw something on Facebook. Granted, you don't believe everything you see on Facebook, but this was a picture of a parent who had their child's homework took a picture of the homework, and in their worksheet it said that the Native Americans, they like happily relocated to a different area so the new settlers could come and settle in their land. But the thing is, they just sugarcoated and tried to downplay the Trail of Tears when they didn't happily relocate. It was a genocide. They were slaughtered and they were forced to move out. But I mean, that's just one small little example of how the school system, with small little tweaks and critiques, can teach you how to think or learn things that aren't even real. I mean, Christopher Columbus did not discover. We all know that he didn't discover America. He thought he was in India. Amerigo Vespucci is the one that discovered America. That's why it's called America. But I mean, a lot of people don't even know that. But everyone's been taught about Christopher Columbus, right? But this is what Jane talks about, is the system. So what she does is creates her own little system where she discriminates against the majority group to make them feel what the minority group is feeling. And let me find this other interesting little fact. And she explains that the reason for this divide is because the majority group is afraid of sharing power. They are afraid of losing power. This is the same reason men don't share power with women, because they're afraid of losing power. That's the same reason that majority, like the Caucasian white group, would not want to share power with the minority group because they will lose power. But what Jane says is that by sharing power, we empower more people, thus making everyone more powerful. And the last little quote I have here, this was back in 1959. Racism was the #1 biggest mental health in children. And this claim the claim was that if you did not like someone based on the amount of chemicals in their skin, you suffer from a disorder because one is not dealing with reality. And I think that's at the beginning of this class, I kind of mentioned that to me, racism in a way is funny. Not that like doing racist things are funny, but the concept of being a racist is funny to me, because to me, it's you showing your intelligence. To me, that shows me a lack of intelligence and a hindrance of your capability to be intelligent. Because if you can't get past step 1, which is visually seeing someone, congratulations, all you see is color. You can no longer see past, step 1, which is visuals. If you don't like me based on my color and you haven't got to know me or haven't asked me anything, you know nothing about my life or my thoughts, feelings, actions, I think that's sad. And people really limit themselves on the opportunities that they can be blessed with throughout their life based on, judging someone because of what they look like. I think it's silly. I think it makes me laugh. It's like, oh, you don't like me because that's how I look. It's like, okay, well, we really shouldn't associate anyways, because what really is there? What does this relationship, what are we going to benefit from it? So I will add the link to the brown eye, blue eye experiment, but that is my takeaway from it. And I thought it was interesting to flip the script and to see how the other side reacted. And a lot of times, I mean, they just demanded that they be treated special. But as a reminder, this was only like a 45-minute experience, and it really brought to light, the little oppressions, because it's not like when it comes to racism and systematic oppression that it's just one major thing that we're dealing with. It's the little things. It's the little things, like during segregation times, like not being able to drink from the same water fountain, having to get up when someone tells you to move to the back of the bus, not getting paid fairly, not knowing if you'll get hired because your name is Jamal or Jaquise, or you have braids or an afro or some dreads, that your skin color, your tattoos, your hair has nothing to do with your capability of efficient work production. So it's these little oppressive things that build up, like little pebbles. So it's not like we're talking about 1,000 pounds of weight. We're talking about, a little gram pebble, but, you get 1 million of those things stacking on top of each other. Well, pretty soon you do have a ton of weight that you have on your shoulders. So these are the little things I think we need to address. address as a society to help fix these things, because I think it comes down to accepting. We just need to accept each other more rather than try to divide. We have too much divide in this country as it is. If we continue, we're just going to lead to our own self-demise. So that is my report on Jane Elliott's brown-eyed, blue-eyed experiment. Hope you enjoyed, and if you can, share this video. Share this video. Check out. Actually, don't share this video. Check out her video and create your own summary and your own thoughts about it. But I appreciate your time, and have a great day.